Difficult Realities is an Elite City Media podcast. If you're interested in more information, make sure you follow us on Twitter at DifficultPod. Subscribe to our official YouTube channel, and keep your eyes open wherever you listen to podcasts for more episodes. No matter what you're listening on, make sure you turn on notifications so you always know when a new episode is posted. And most importantly, remember that while this is an opinion-based podcast, it is also backed up by evidence and facts. Or in other words, this podcast is Difficult Realities. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first, the debut episode of Difficult Realities, a podcast on the state of the United States. I am your host, Swerve, and joining me alongside today and going forward, I have a team of excellent Twitter follows, excellent debaters, and excellent topic mongers. We'll start off to my pseudo left. We're going to go with Spittin'. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Swerve. Thanks for having me, bro.
As always. And to my pseudo right, we have the snow monster. It's Yeti. How you doing, Yeti?
Great. Hope you guys are doing well.
Oh, I'm definitely doing well. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I stated at the intro, you are listening to Difficult Realities. This podcast is going to be a pretty hard left podcast about the realities of the United States that a lot of people, particularly people who think they're on the left, don't really want to deal with or like to pretend do not exist. If you have been on social media and you're a part of the leftist social media, you know exactly what we're going to be talking about. And speaking of social media, at the moment we don't have podcast social media established, but you can follow all of us. My handle is, of course, at Swerve City Elite. Spittin's handle is at Spittin Venoms, and that's SPITTINVENOMS. And Yeti, who has the longest handle of the lot of us, his is just at Yeti1181. Of course, I always confuse your handle with your title because your title is a screen occupier for sure on Twitter.
What, my Yeti isn't great?
Oh no, Yeti's good, but the love the Leafs, hate the politicians eats up my push notifications on my phone every single time I get one. I can't even see what you sent me. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we say difficult realities, what do we mean? Well, a lot of people on the left like to pretend that simply electing a person with a D next to their name changes the world, or that the person with the R next to their name was an unabashed tyrant who could do whatever they wanted with Congress and Senate or the presidency. And the truth is that I think George Carlin once said it best: it's all one big club, and we're not in it. And today, we're going to try to kick down the doors of some of these clubs and get you more info on what's going on. But before we do that, you all deserve to know who you're talking to. So why don't we introduce ourselves, and yet we're not going to play two truths and a lie. Don't worry. No team building exercises here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go around the pseudo table and have everybody say who they are, what they believe, and their most important issues. And we'll start with our good buddy, Spittin'.
Yeah. So, go by Spittin Venoms, you know, and I don't really have much of an identity outside of my Twitter, except I just unabashedly don't give a fuck about anything anymore. And
a dangerous man.
You know, yeah, and you know, I feel shit on by every institution, you know, like, and this has been a downward spiral transgression that, you know, I used to be this fucking liberal hardcore liberal, just like you said, man, if you had a D next to your name, like you were the good guys. And
That's right.
I worked for Obama's campaign. I met Obama.
Did you really? Did you really?
Yeah. Two
Wow.
different.
I just knowing you from Twitter, I never would have believed. If you told me if we were playing Two Truths and a Lie, I would have been. That's the lie right there.
Yeah, I met him. I met him twice. One time, he was a state senator here in Illinois, and while he was running for state senator,
that's right, because he lived in Chicago for a long time, didn't he?
Yeah. And he came to. I'm from Carbondale, Illinois, which is down deep down south.
Okay,
the furthest thing from Chicago.
Yeah.
And I'm an hour away from Kentucky and Missouri.
Yeah.
Either way you want to go.
So you're closer to that than even your own state in some ways.
Oh, it's day and night, man. We're deep red down here.
Oh yeah.
But we here in Carbondale, we've got a university, Southern Illinois University, and Obama came here when he was running for state senator, and had a meet and greet, and that that was okay. It was just more like a handshake, how you doing, nice to meet you.
Right.
But then where I live now is my grandparents' old place in Carbondale.
Okay.
And right down the road from where I'm at, there was this guy. His name was Dr. Norwood, and he was an old Tuskegee Airman.
Oh yeah,
yeah, really cool fucking dude, man. And you could go by his place and just chill and watch some sports or whatever. But
that's cool.
He held, whenever Obama was running for U.S. senator, he held a fundraising event at his house for him. So Obama has been he's not my direct neighbor, but he's 2 houses down. So Obama's been 2 houses down from my house.
That's pretty wild, low key.
Yeah, and this was a more just laid back function, man, where we went outside and smoked cigarettes. You know what I mean? We were drinking fucking scotch.
Yeah.
And you really he was still in politician mode, man, because he couldn't ever turn that off.
Yeah, you really can't once you get so deep.
Yeah, and he was just built for it, And man, I'm just sitting there talking to him, and this guy radicalized my way of thinking back then.
Mm-hmm.
He was so anti-war and wanted everybody to have the health care and all that shit that he talked about on his campaign to be president, man. He was spouting way early on, and it was just talking to him, it was like, man, he could have talked me into walking right out in the road in front of a pickup truck that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
he had that charisma. That was one of the notable runs of his presidency.
Mm-hmm. And that's all he shit, I was sold, man. I phone banked, I knocked on doors, I done everything I could for that guy, for the US Senate campaign, and then for his first run as president. And man, did he just, so the guy that was responsible for radicalizing me was also the guy responsible for really fucking radicalizing me.
It's like a never meet your heroes.
For all the wrong reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's how I got into all this, and I think that I even voted for him again in 2012 just because, man, it's like he can't be any worse, right? And then immediately following, I started to get my goddamn tax returns taken away from me because I wasn't poor enough to qualify for Medicaid, but I wasn't rich enough to be able to afford that stupid fucking Obamacare.
Yeah.
So like when it came tax return time, it was like, oh, here you know, sorry, you know,
Yeah.
after we take our fee, you've got to, you know, you end up owing money to the fucking government
Right.
because you can't afford health care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
and that
that
destroys.
really fucked me up.
Yeah, that destroys so many people. It really does.
And God and you know, like the first thing Trump does is eliminates that mandatory enrollment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's like right then and there, no matter what he did thereafter, him doing that was better than anything fucking Obama ever did.
For your health care. Yeah, definitely. You know, that's like, and I'm going to let you keep going, but that's like a mandatory mandate is the most Democrat way of giving people health care that there could possibly be. Because it's like they mocked Mitt Romney relentlessly in 2012 for, you know, his sort of mentality of why don't you just buy more money, right? Mm-hmm. But like Obamacare was basically why don't you just buy more health care? I mean, it quite literally was. There were good things about it in a way. Like, yeah, if you're under 26, you can be on your parents' plan, which is great until you realize a lot of people's parents couldn't fucking afford to buy it either. You know? Yep. So it's great if it's all great if you have money, if you have a job that pays decent, if you live in an area where there's low cost of living, then cool. Yeah, Obamacare probably helped you out. But if you're in like downtown Oakland, California, or Harlem, New York, or some place that has historically negatively been affected by income, oh, my parents don't have health insurance anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter that I'm only 21 because I'm not on their plan because they don't have a plan. Nobody here can afford anything. We make piss money working piss jobs, and nobody's helping us.
Yep.
So, yeah, anyway, I didn't mean to hijack that. So, yeah, keep going if there was any more that you wanted to say there, sir.
Well, I just think that, you know, you call it, I mean, as you know, that Obamacare was Mitt Romney's, right?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, well, yeah, he ended up taking credit for it later on. It's when he worked for the Heritage Foundation. It was his.
Yeah, they called it Romney Care then.
Yeah, and so all Obama did, you know, he and at the time, they had a super majority.
Like, they did. They have one now too.
No. See, they've got a majority right now, and that's a lot of people confuse the two. The super majority is when you've got 60 senators on your side. That you're filibuster proof at that point.
That's true. Yeah.
Obama had that. He ran on universal health care. Mm-hmm. And people will say, well, he only had the supermajority for 10 months. I don't care if he had 10 fucking minutes.
That's enough fucking time.
That's enough time. If you've already got your bill ready to go, fucking send it through and sign that shit, man. Yeah. But then what ends up happening? You know?
Nothing.
Joe Lieberman decides to become an independent, you know, and so now they've only got 59 senators, and then you know, Robert Byrd gets sick, so he's in the hospital the whole time for like 2 years, and they've only got 58 senators. But if you've seen Lincoln and you've seen fucking House of Cards or any of these shows, there are ways to whip votes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You send a hooker to somebody's hotel room, or they've got a kid that likes to smoke crack like Hunter Biden, and you use that shit to your advantage to get the votes. So I don't want to hear no bullshit about fucking Joe Lieberman. Same shit as today with Joe Manchin. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, we really want to do stuff for you, but fucking Joe Manchin. You know, that's fuck that
and you know
shit,
they
man.
have.
If you want votes, you get votes.
And it's that rogue senator.
Yeah, Yeah, it's always that guy's fault because if we just had this guy. So keep in mind voting, how important voting is. If we just had this guy, you guys got to vote, right? Get out there and vote for this guy so that we don't have this guy blocking us.
Their biggest fear is getting another supermajority.
Yeah, because then they have to do shit.
Midterms are right around the corner. Don't you
know.
think they'd be worried about that shit? Like trying to get some. Just today, I'm watching MSNBC and Chris Murphy, I think out of Connecticut, maybe a Democrat. He says that the they're just at too much of an impasse to get a bipartisan infrastructure deal done before the midterms. And I'm like, it's already guaranteed that you're going to lose. The fucking house.
You already know. Nobody ever retains everything throughout an entire presidency. Nobody ever retains everything.
And that's the thing. If there was one party that did more for the people, that party would never fucking lose.
Yeah,
because the people are the ones that vote.
But, there's the thing. If they had to get rid of the dance around getting rid of the filibuster, then they wouldn't have to deal with the fact that actually helping people would make the filibuster moot because they would get supermajorities. The biggest thing they fear, like you said, is the supermajority because then they actually have to do shit. They can't just spend their time idling and tweeting and dancing around meaningless gestures about removing things or adding Supreme Court justices. They could just do stuff. And that's the thing that they don't want to do.
And the corporate donors are not going to let that shit fly.
Oh, of course not.
Everybody says, well, Trump was a fucking billionaire. And I hate those people online that still think like Republicans are in the pocket of corporations and Democrats aren't.
Biden and Trump had I think it was 122 synonymous donors. Don't quote me on that number, but I believe it was something like that.
At the end of the day, Biden had 141 billionaire donors.
Yeah.
Compared to Trump's 99 billion.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking billionaire. And he gave them their tax cut.
Yeah. It's surprising, it hasn't gone anywhere either. So I want to get Yeti in here, but real quick, the last question I have, before we bounce Yeti in, because I don't want to silence Yeti. This is just a quick.
You guys wanted to have the conversation, so it's like I'll let it go and then I'll just wait.
Yeah, no, man, this is free form. You jump in whenever. I was just giving Spittin' the majority of the time because it's it was his intro segment.
That's kind of why I wanted to sit back a little bit. So I was like,
yeah, but no, I'm going to give you your segment too. I just, like I said, I wanted to make sure people knew that you were still here. So
I just was being quiet for a bit.
Fair enough. So the last thing I want to ask you real quick, your neighbor who was the Tuskegee Airman, was that your first experience with what the government had done to those people, or was he not part of the experiment?
Well, we never talked about.
Yeah, I mean that's not something you can really. He's not something you can really get into.
He was a patriot, man. You know what I mean? He loved his country, and he was. I mean, hence why he was hosting an event like that at his house. You know what I mean? Because he was a big time donor, but he believed in everything that fraud was selling. Yeah, same as me. But yeah, as far as the experiments and stuff go, I don't know. And in my defense there, I was probably around, I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I'd say I was probably about 19 or 20. So I was still just eyes wide open as far as trusting the government went. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that completely. I don't even think I truly became radicalized until about 2018 or 19, but we'll get to that when it's my turn, so to speak. So, but now we're going to jump over to Yeti because Yeti deserves his intro too. So Yeti, tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, what your top issues are, and some fun facts about you, sir.
I go by Yeti because I'm a mammoth of a man, apparently.
Yeah, I understand how that is.
So, no, I've been kind of anti-establishment kind of idea since my transplant when I was 14. Because when I was transplanted, I had figured I had 5 years to live.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'm not gonna sit around trying to make other people happy. I'm just gonna enjoy life and try and make other people happy while I go. So
Yes.
that's kind of what I did, and then I just kept living and living. I was like, I'm supposed to be dead about 10 years ago.
Doctors hate
So
him.
I was like, oh, they do. Because I've done everything they told me not to do.
And you're still kicking.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. So as time evolved, my parents are very conservative people that, work hard and you'll get ahead. Because she's very conservative.
Right.
Mostly. So we kind of battled over that. And so I always pushed back a little more. And then as I started getting older, when I was in my mid-20s, I started looking at politics a little more. Because I was like, I should probably have a little more understanding of this. And I used to watch news a lot, so I used to watch CNN quite a bit. And this was probably looking about 2013-ish, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was in that same boat.
Yeah, and then Don Lemon had a Muslim guest on one day, and basically told him that he has to accept responsibility for ISIS because they share the same religion. And I was like, this is the stupidest argument I've ever heard in my life. I was pissed. So I wrote a big thing on Facebook about it, and it was kind of cool because I had one of my friends from Jamaica that's like, oh wow, you're the one white person that seems to get it once in a while. I was like, oh, thanks. I was like, I don't know how that works, but okay. So, and then as I kept going further, and the more I looked into politics, the more I was like, these bastards are just lying. I was like, all they do is continually say one thing, and then a few years later, they'll say the exact opposite and pretend like it never happened. And so they keep doing this, and I'm like, okay, you're not helping anyone. You're clearly just helping yourselves at this point. And then if you look a little further, you kind of start to get to the point where you're like, okay, there's clearly people above you that are having a little more influence as well. And I actually used to watch Alex Jones a lot.
Oh my!
Before he went a little too crazy, because actually, oddly enough, if you go back to some of his older stuff, he's not that far off.
He's been right about a lot of shit.
Yeah, he talks about the Bohemian Grove, stuff like that, and then he made the stupid mistake of making a comment about Sandy Hook.
Yeah, more than a comment.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll explain a little bit what I'm going with.
Yeah.
So he made a comment about how it could potentially be. Then his followers jumped on board. And so you get more people talking about it, and then the news gets a hold of it.
Yeah.
And the elites already hate Jones, but he's big enough you can't just kill him off.
So we thought.
Yeah. So they just ran with it and just continued. The people in the media that talked about Sandy Hook did more damage than Alex Jones and his followers could have ever done because they were so relatively small, right?
Well, you know what they say about when you give something a microphone.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, the Pizzagate thing, you know.
Yeah. Turning the frogs gay, and I mean the guy. I will give this. I will give this to the guy. He knows he's a meme and he embraces it. I will give him that.
Oh yeah, he's also a snake oil salesman, right?
Yeah, of course.
He's like most people couldn't tell you that Adam Lanza was the guy who committed Sandy Hook, but they'll tell you Alex Jones was the biggest proponent of it.
Right.
Very good point.
Never mind the guy who shot all the kids.
Is it weird that I could tell you that that's who did it? I do remember that guy's name particularly.
Yeah, boy, I didn't.
Originally, they went and arrested his brother Nick in New York. He was in Newark.
I remember that too.
Yeah. So of course, for like 3 hours, it was nonstop. Nick Lanza did this, and then the media's like, oh shit, Adam Lanza. They don't ever go back. They just like start going ahead with like, okay, it's Adam Lanza. Just pretend we didn't say the other shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's
So is that the big moment that tips your scale, so to speak?
no, I think when they tried to make Hillary Clinton
President,
a good person, it was like the final tipping point. I know we didn't like politicians then.
Yeah.
But it was that point I was like, well, Trump's not a politician, so let's give him a fucking shot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the fact is I still couldn't, and I could never vote for Trump, but oh my God. I wonder sometimes if there isn't an internal bet between the two parties, like the head of the Republican Party, the head of the Democratic Party, where like, they'll never fucking get through this one. If we gave them these two, imagine if it was these two, and then they just pushed all their effort into like making that reality. And they're like, well, that was bad, but imagine if next it was this person. Oh, you're on. I'll bet you the 2020 Senate that doesn't happen. Oh, you're on, bucko.
It's like they try to continually up one each other with stupidity.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know, the old line from Full Metal Jacket, I didn't know they could stack shit that high.
Yeah. Well, and propaganda has been so effective.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's not changed the entire time propaganda has been around.
Well, it's funny, too, that you would say that, because we all actually met in a propaganda thread that TSB was trying to, Spittin was trying to kill the momentum on. It was Jen. How do you pronounce that woman's name? Psaki? Is it just?
Yeah, Jen Psaki.
That's what I thought. I thought the P was silent, much like their agenda on immigration. But I digress.
And her brain.
Yeah, it was a Psaki thread that where basically she said, you're not accusing us of still having kids in cages, are you? And then Spittin's like, yeah, I am. Here's the photo of it. Yeah, and all those stone-headed liberals in the comments like, this is from 2018. I'm like, yeah, back in 2018 when we were all wearing masks.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember that? Remember the fucking bird flu pandemic of 2018?
Yeah. And you can show them undeniable proof, and they're just like, no, that's not real.
Well, that's because there's no such thing as undeniable proof when it comes to liberal crime to liberals. You know, in the same way that conservatives, that's what we're talking about. In the same way that conservatives will literally deny anything, to include like Matt Gaetz being a little pedo or like Ben Shapiro clearly being a virgin. Like, they will deny anything that they want to. And then Democrats will laugh at them whilst committing the same offenses. Oh, Anthony Weiner wasn't that bad. It was one picture. Who cares? Not a big deal. Oh, Hillary Clinton, she is a good woman. You just don't want to see a powerful woman in office.
Well, look at Tara Reid and Biden.
Yeah. That's a very good example. I'm still talking about that, to be fair. Oh, yeah. I still talk about that.
I put out a tweet yesterday about it, and tagged her in it, and she liked the tweet.
Yeah, she's pretty good at interacting with people. Mm-hmm. Even people, it's been disappointing because like I was mostly raised by women. My father's not in the picture. My grandfather is kind of like a quiet old man who keeps to himself for the most part, right? My mother, my grandmother, and my aunt were the three biggest people in my life in terms of like being raised. And all of them, as they should be, are very like, anti-rape advocates, as we all should be.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there's too many people being like, no, rape's good.
Well, there's not people doing it out.
Surprised.
There's not too many people doing it out loud, but there are definitely people internally who are like, I don't care if she likes it, or I don't care if he likes it. Yeah. But as staunch anti-rape advocates as they were, as soon as the Tara Reid news hit, even people in my own family are like, she's a fraud. Her story changed. She's been disproven, XYZ. I'm like, you didn't stand any rape cases as hard as, Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh was like the most stand rape accusation of all time in terms of like modern politics. And we didn't know shit before we were ready to convict that guy to death, right? Like, Do I know what happened? Not really. Do I have an opinion? Yes, I do. And it's the same opinion I have of Joe Biden and Tara Reid. It's identical because I don't give a fuck about this party line.
Opinion.
Yeah, we have the same amount of evidence for the Tara Reid case as we did for the Brett Kavanaugh case. And one of those was closed, shut, guilty, throw him in jail, throw away the key. And the other one is, well, the story changed. That didn't happen. Nothing ever, Democrats are good people. Like, we don't need, this is a distraction created by Russia to help Trump. You can't say, no, I think both of these fucking old white dudes are gross as shit. You cannot have that opinion.
And that's what kills me, man.
Like, I don't get how people can think Trump's a good person. Like, he's clearly a shitty person. I'm like, there's no billionaires that are nice people.
There are no nice, good billionaires. And I'm not typically a generalizer, but when it comes to things that are a choice, like being rich or being a cop or being a politician, I'll generalize the fuck out of you until you give me a reason not to, because you chose that life.
Yeah. There's a difference between generalizing someone on something they can't control
and something
like
they can,
identity, racism, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But to have someone be like, "Oh, you can't judge them," like, it was their
fuck
choice
you.
to keep doing it.
When you choose a lifestyle, you choose the baggage that comes with it.
Yeah. Like, Biden keeps being racist. It's not like he's ever stopped doing it.
Right. So, if you couldn't tell already of where we're standing, now you kind of have a sense. But with that, I guess I'll give my little bit of an intro as to how I came to be radicalized, if you will. Let me ask you guys a question. Are you tired of that language that we're radicals? I don't think anything we're talking about is radical.
I don't identify myself as radical. I don't even identify myself as any political leaning.
Yeah,
I just want what's better for everyone in the world.
And
That's all I want.
I agree with that. And while I will typically say that, like, I believe that there are polars, like, I think hard right is fascism and hard left is anarchism to an extent. But I also believe in horseshoe theory, where you can start one way and become so strong that way that you end up on the other side. Like, for example, the arguments about what you should and shouldn't call people are noble in their intent. Like, maybe don't call people retarded, right? Don't be using gay as like a slur, like we all did in middle school. Like, that's gay, All right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. Like, okay, I understand why you wouldn't want to be called that. So I won't call you that. No problem. Right. Like, no problem.
I despise the R word.
Right.
It's funny. And I don't care if people use it. I just personally despise it. Yeah, I won't use it, but it's because of something happened, right? So
yeah, and that's kind of like my point. Like, yeah, I understand exactly why people don't like the word, so I'm not going to say it. Like, basic empathy, like, it doesn't need a big lesson, right?
Yeah.
But the flip side is, now there are you can't say certain things, you can't follow certain people on Twitter, you can't engage with certain people on Twitter, you can't have a dissenting opinion, like our opinion on Tara Reid and Joe Biden. You can't have a nomenclatural status outside of the hive mind. And I don't know about you, but I call that censorship. There's a huge, and to me, like, censorship is like the top conservative principle. Things you can't, here's a list of things you cannot do, right? That's definitorially censorship. And I'm not talking, and let's like wipe out the bad faith argument. We're not talking about murder and rape and stealing. I'm talking about strictly social interaction, right? When you censor things you can say, things you can think, things you cannot think, you're talking about control, right? And there's a huge difference that people have completely lost touch on between ought not and cannot.
Yeah. That
is a humongous leap that people make, especially on Twitter. The thing that frustrates me so much about the self-proclaimed left, the left, not the fucking conservative, what the conservatives think is left, the real left, right, is that they're so focused on your social media behavior that they have totally lost sight of what we're actually all supposed to be doing. They're more interested in whether or not I follow Vosh or Shoe on Head than they are about, hey, There's X number of million people who don't have health care. Like, are we doing anything about it? There's X number of people who are in prison for crimes they didn't commit, or for weed, or for drugs, or nonviolent offenses. Are we working on getting them out? Hey, this person who's a genuine, candidate we can support is running for office. Are we phone banking? Are we getting out there? Are we doing things for them? Right? Well, no. Yeah. But how dare you fucking follow Vosh? How dare you fucking follow Shoe on Head? Once upon a time in 2010, when they were 19, they said this awful thing. Fuck you.
Yeah.
How about don't censor me?
I'm sorry. Now, don't think for a second that, like yesterday, you asked me what G-Hive was.
Yeah, because it's a term that I've seen everywhere, and I know obviously the context behind it, but I didn't know the specific origins or like who was part of it, right?
Okay, so like people like that, and I lump them all together. The people that are just showing up in these anti Jimmy Dore threads and stuff, and if you look on their bio, man, more often than not, they've got less than 50 followers.
Yep.
They don't have anything in their bio.
Bunch of numbers in their tag.
Some generic Avi, and like none of them follow each other. So how did they come about finding? Yeah, like coming to the defense of one bot or another.
It's organized.
I'm so convinced that most of the time we find ourselves arguing with computer programs.
We do,
and not real people.
That is definitely true.
Make no mistake that like the fracture that is building between the left on social media is not just manufactured.
I agree,
because they want us all divided. And now I could give a shit less if you follow Sam Cedar or Chris Hayes or any of these milquetoast liberals, because that's what you want to listen to. But don't jump my shit because I like Jimmy Dore.
Yeah. And sometimes there's also a truth that when I see people I know are staunch, like socialists or even communists, and they're following like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, everybody's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, clearly they're scouting. Like they're clearly following this account to keep up with the most recent like bullshit peddle, right? That's a completely legitimate reason to follow somebody that you completely disagree with. You follow them
for screenshots.
Yeah, exactly. That's a complete, like how, those ones you love to retweet, they came from somewhere. Guess where? Somebody following this account. So like, I agree with your point completely, Yeti. Spitting about how they want us divided. Of course they do, but the flip side of that is the left is more than willing to be divided. Because the truth is that it's a leaderless group of wandering well-meaners with no agenda, no organization, no, whatever. Because every time somebody comes up to the plate and is like, I'm a person who can lead this movement, they cannibalize them, or they try to cannibalize them. Like Brianna Joy, who was Bernie Sanders' campaign chair. She's a decent person, I think, but every single time she takes a step forward, the left will be like, well, Bernie did this and Bernie did that, and you supported Bernie, so you can't be the person. Okay. So somebody who's pretty left but still can draw in liberals, like Kyle Kulinski, he pops up. People, well, no, Kyle Kulinski thinks this about this issue, so he can't lead us. Okay, people need to realize nobody is going to be a perfect messenger, and if they were, it's too good to be true. Like
people are even going after Katie Halper and Matt Taibbi.
Yeah,
like real freaking journalists that are Democrats, man.
Yeah. And this is also like, I'm not necessarily talking about the robots either that come to the defense to help the splitting. Real regular people that I've had conversations in the same way that I'm talking to the two of you right now and to everybody listening. Real people I know will come out and be like, well, you follow this person, so I'm unfollowing you. Well, fucking goodbye. I don't care, because I'll work with anybody who wants to give socialize healthcare to the people, who wants to end the private prison industry, who wants to decriminalize drug use, who wants to reform our justice system, if you genuinely, in good faith, want to do those things, I will work with you. Yes, that includes Shuan Head. That includes Bullsh. That includes any of these fucking people that are like toxic left names that you don't bring up. If they genuinely want to help, I will genuinely help them, because I'm here for a purpose. Like, I'm not here for the clout. I don't care if anybody likes me. And of course, there's going to be people out there, oh yeah, you don't care about the clout and you're hosting a podcast. Yeah, because the point is the message, right?
Yeah.
The point is the message. And what's the message? We want people to be fucking healthy, largely out of jail, capable of sustaining themselves in a meaningful economy where there's return on your investments, and functioning in a way that makes them feel satisfied. None of which you can say the average person has right now. And they definitely don't have all four. Nobody has all four.
No.
It's unbelievable, especially in the States, because I'm in Canada, so I've got the benefits of like a somewhat socialized healthcare.
Yeah.
But it's like my stepmom moved back to LA after my dad passed. And she made sure she had all her insurances and everything up to date. She checked with the company. She got down there, fell and broke her shoulder, wasn't covered.
Right.
70 grand. My stepmom's not working.
Right.
Like, she's retired. She might be in her 80s. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't kill me, Marilyn, if I'm wrong. Don't worry, she won't actually listen to this. She's very left-wing.
Right. And so, like, even so, just that sentiment that you have to be rich to deserve your shoulder is, like, astounding on principle, right? Like, somebody, I don't even remember who, so I could never find it if I even tried, but I saw a great tweet a few months ago, and it's like, in the United States, if you're wealthy and lucky, you get to have teeth. Like, that's a real truth of the United States. And it's mind-boggling because there's no context in which that should be a truth of the United States, right? And we're coming around, and we did this on purpose, as you will find out with us. We're coming up on July 4th. It's like, by the time you're hearing this, if you're out there, it either is or has been July 4th. So, like, we're coming up on the America holiday, right? Like, Christmas, if you want to be like one of those Christian Americans, right? But this is the American holiday, right? It's the day where we're all like, a lot of people think that you turn off your blinders and you just America forward. I guess put on your blinders and America forward, all things America. And it's like, that's great. But the odds that somebody's going to blow themselves up with fireworks and then not be able to afford the health care that they need to fix for that, and we're just okay with that. Like, we're going to celebrate that. You know what I mean? We're going to celebrate people, not having the money to pay for their health, not having the money to get themselves out of prison because we have for-profit fucking bond in the United States. Or, people like, let's celebrate locking up 1/4 of the black population for nonviolent crimes. And let's celebrate student debt indebting kids of this generation till the time that their grandchildren are born or even longer. It's insanity. And that's what we're talking about, right? Because these are the things to sort of finish off my radicalization. These are the things that you look at. It's Plato's cave. Like, once you see them, you can't pretend you don't know, right?
Yeah.
You can't pretend that you don't know the NSA is watching everything, that there's probably an FBI guy with a tap in this fucking Discord right now because we said the wrong trigger words into live mics, right? Like, you can't pretend that the majority of the black population is segregated or targeted or dehumanized on a fucking daily basis. I read the fucking Ferguson police report from the fucking Republican-controlled Judiciary Committee when that Ferguson police shooting happened. And it says, like, right in there that the Ferguson police routinely violated the Constitution with a pattern of racial bias. And it's like, I can't pretend I didn't read that. And I can't pretend I don't know that that doesn't happen everywhere else too, right? Yeah. I can't sit fucking back and watch Joe Biden do the same shit that Trump did, which is the same shit that Obama did, which is the same shit that Bush did, going all the way back to Reagan and Nixon, and just fucking sit on it and go to brunch. That's where the term brunch liberal comes from, because these fuckers, they can go, well, I'm white and I live in a low costing area and my bills are paid and I have spending money. So fucking Democrat clearly gave that to me. Yeah. And then the black guy sitting at the table over them is like, my brother's in jail for weed. My mom's in jail for weed. My dad's in jail for weed. I'm going for my trial tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're going to get like 20 years. Like, for weed.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine the struggle that the people who go to jail for nonviolent offenses face, because I've always been of the opinion that there's only really 3 types of offenses that should land you in jail, and that's violent offenses, repeat offenses, and offenses that ruin lives, right? So like, bank, like white collar crime, like bank crimes and yeah, stuff like that. If you attempt to defraud or ruin someone's life with your crime, I would remove you from society because you've proven you can't handle it. But like smoking weed, in no way, unless you get behind the wheel of a car or some other vehicular transportation, smoking weed in your house with your buddies and watching fucking Futurama on loop is not going to hurt anybody. Period.
Yeah. It actually
doesn't hurt anybody if you do it in your car.
Well, if you drive, you have the potential to.
You mean as far as impaired?
Yeah,
or
driving impaired.
Like trying to drive while hitting a bong.
No, I'm talking about driving under the influence of anything. Really, it's dangerous. It is fucking legit dangerous.
Well, I mean,
driving tired is bad.
Driving tired is bad, and I think that I would treat that shit the same. But in my utopia, I would treat that shit the same way. Like, you shouldn't be operating machinery of any kind if you're not in the mind to do it, or of the body to do it, because it is dangerous.
It's fair, but with cannabis, a lot of people use it in small doses to like help with pain and stuff. Like, I'm fairly regularly have some cannabis in me.
Right, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Because I use it to deal with pain.
Yeah,
but I don't get like super high and then drive.
Yeah, and that's why, in the same way that we have like a blood alcohol level for if you're drunk, right? If you have like a little tiny bit in you and it's under the legal limit, like they're not going to, well, I can't say they're not going to, because people get fucking railroaded every day. But, like, it's not supposed to be a crime if you're under a certain level. And the same would go with cannabis, right? Like if you can take a pot brownie or something and it doesn't get you stoned and you're clearly of mind, then it's not a fucking problem. I'm talking about when you take so much that you're swerving all over the fucking place, that your eyes are shutting while you're driving, that you're incapable of staying in your lane, incapable of being a proper driver, then that's fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
I'm not. Let me be clear on this. In any context, you're never going to hear me argue abolition or prohibition. You're never going to get that from me, because I don't think that consumption of anything should be off limits. I think completely, I'm a defender of bodily autonomy. My universal stance, whenever I analyze problems, my first question is, does this affect bodily autonomy? And if the answer is yes, then I have to do a deep dive into whether or not I think it's justified to affect somebody's bodily autonomy. And there's very, very, very few cases in which I think it is. And so I'm always going to say, yeah, weed, and I've always been of the stance, well, not always, but I'm of the stance that all drug consumption should be decriminalized. It should not be a crime just merely to do drugs. That's bullshit. That's a health issue, not a criminal issue.
Especially when our government is the world's biggest drug dealer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they brought cocaine on fucking government planes.
Well, I ain't even talking about that. I'm talking about the FDA approved fucking opioids.
I mean, oxycodone and heroin are 1% chemically different. That's a fact.
Yeah.
1% chemically different. Heroin was oxycodone at one time. It was given to people like children and women, pregnant women, as a painkiller.
Yeah. Fentanyl is used actually quite a bit for recovering drug addicts.
Yeah.
They'll use fentanyl to get people off.
Yeah, because it kills the craving without fucking you up.
Yeah,
they give it to you when you wake up from surgery.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I probably had it at some point. I know I've had more.
Very recently, I actually stressed the shit out of myself because I wouldn't take painkillers after 2 surgeries because I knew what they were and what they do to people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to be, especially if you know you're
You're prone to it.
addiction.
Yeah.
Addictions, yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
like, I'm actually, this will probably be the wildest thing of all the things I've said so far. This will probably be the wildest thing that I confess to is I'm actually pretty not addictive. I'm actually straight edge. I've never drank beer or alcohol of any kind, never smoked any weed or any cigarettes or anything like that. I've abstained from all of the fucking potential addictive behavior I've gotten my hands on. But I'm not going to fucking take the chance that that's the one fucking thing that sets me off, because if it is, holy fuck, did I pick a bad one? Holy fuck, did I pick a bad one? So I'm, they gave me fucking Oxy. I said, I don't need that. Yeah, you do. This is going to hurt like hell. I know it's going to hurt like hell. I don't fucking need that. I had a fucking metal tube running from my fucking dick into my kidney, and I took that shit without painkillers. Because
a catheter?
No, I had a fucking stent.
Oh, yeah, that's not fun. I've had catheters inserted when I'm awake.
Yeah, that shit was scraping the inside of my kidney because it shifted. It shifted. Trigger warning for gore, right? It shifted inside of my body, an inch inside of my body. So where it was supposed to be was sitting right at the exterior of my kidney, right at the lining so that it could drain urine. Where it was all the way on the inside of my kidney, scraping the side of it every time I bent down. Anytime I moved or twisted or bent, it was scraping my kidney. It was shaving little bits of it off from the inside, right? So when they took that thing out of me, the doctor goes, were you like working for the last month? I said, yeah, I was. Why? Because your fucking kidneys are annihilated on the inside. He didn't say it like that. I wish he had. I'd have tipped him if he fucking said it like that. Yeah. But he was like, yeah, this thing scraped the shit out of your kidney. You're going to be peeing blood for like a month. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. He's like, how are you doing that? I don't know. You just fucking deal with shit sometimes.
Yeah, if you can.
That's always been life to me.
Live straight edge your whole life and end up with worse kidneys than me.
Yeah, right.
So funny story.
Just lefty.
So funny story. My kidneys are actually working still quite well after 24 years of nonstop medication that attacks my body.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
all right. Go ahead. I didn't realize you weren't done.
No, I was just gonna say, after I was transplanted, I was actually unconscious for a month because of how much morphine they had put in me.
Like, you're never gonna get that time back. You know what I mean?
No. I was asleep.
I'm sure it was fun, but at the same time, like that's where it all came from. That, like, I'm very much a person who wants to be in 100% control of my body and mind at all times. So anything
that's fair.
Anything that costs me that control is like a negative on my brain. So like, I know what alcohol does to your brain. It's not that you lose control of yourself, but you do lose your inhibition. So like the worst parts about you come out. That's not necessarily a good thing all the time, right?
No, it's not.
We've all done some shit we'd like to forget, and that's not the way to do it. And the same thing with weed. Like it doesn't like negatively affect your mind, but like getting high does like limit your ability to control yourself. Even if it's minor, it does limit your ability to control yourself. So to me, there was just never an appeal that was greater than, well, is this worth giving up 100% control of my cognitive function? And that's why, like, I kicked caffeine very recently because I'm like, I'm not sleeping, and I know it's because I'm like, I've got all these fucking processed foods to me. So I kicked all that shit. I haven't had caffeine in like almost a month now. I don't like, I turn off, I have all kinds of shit in my computer that changes the color of the screen at certain times of day so I don't get that blue feeding into my eyes so that I sleep, because not sleeping is like the worst cardinal sin you can commit against your body. Not sleeping will kill you dead fucking quicker than anything, right? That you can control.
That's why I turned to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, so you could sleep. Yeah. So it's funny how that works too, isn't it?
It is. Like I kind of turned to weed after my transplant because I was having trouble dealing with actually my family, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't so much having trouble dealing with the transplant. That didn't bother me. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. I can keep doing stuff. All right, fine, cool. I'll go play hockey.
Yeah, there you go. We'll talk about hockey on the way out, but all right. So we're pushing an hour here, so I want to get into the first real topic of the show. So we obviously had quite a bit to talk about in our introductory segments, which only tells you how much we're going to talk about real stuff. So With that being said, I want to get into our first real topic, which is Joe Biden. And the reason I chose this one first is because, in my opinion, it might be the both easiest and most difficult reality to get across to people, right?
Yeah.
Because to Republicans, they're going to look at us and be like, yeah, you're fucking right. Joe Biden sucks ass. And we're like, yeah, and so does Trump. And they're like, now hold the fuck on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You were almost there. You were so close. And then,
yes,
you know, you were so close. You almost had it. There. But liberals will not fucking hear it. Even if I had a video of Joe Biden fucking murdering a DACA immigrant with a gun that said no free healthcare, wearing shoes that had pictures of like Hitler on them, you know, yeah, and then like his suit was like a texture of kids in cages, right? And it said Biden loves locking you up. I could show them that fucking descriptive video. And by the way, if there's any artists out there, can you draw that for me, please? Because I'd like to have that. But I digress. I could show them that video and they'd be like, oh yeah, did Russia send that to you? Oh yeah, is that well? Or even better, my favorite. Well, yeah, I acknowledge that horrible reality, but Trump,
yeah,
XYZ. No, you were so close. You were so close. Cut that last bit off. I acknowledge that horrible reality. Yes, thank you. That's all I'm talking about. I can acknowledge this shitty Biden reality and also acknowledge the shitty Trump reality. They're not mutually exclusive. They exist coherently. We can analyze them independently of one another and come to independent conclusions that are both true. It is doable. Open your mind, motherfucker.
Like with the not to go too far off topic, but it's the same battle lines here with Cuomo.
Yeah.
Within 2 weeks, man, we found out that he killed your grandpa and he felt up your sister.
Yep. And you voted for him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you tried to point that out online,
here came the hive.
The immediate response was, now do Trump.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and it's
bro, we've been doing Trump for we've been doing Trump since I've been out of college, man.
Cuomo, I mean, people would literally say Cuomo only has 9 charges levied against him. Trump had 27. And I'm like,
all right,
yeah,
so
and if you add them together, that's 36. I don't give a fuck.
It looks like we got fucking 36 rape cases to prosecute.
Yes.
That's all I see is, hey, he's got 9 and he's got 36. Cool. We indict him on 9 charges. We indict him on 36.
I'm not looking at it as 27 Republican rape charges against 9. Well, you know, since they're Democratic rape charges, then we can pretty much cut those in half. So really, it's more just like 4.5.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, those women's stories probably changed, and they don't follow Alyssa Milano on Twitter, so how true of Me Too advocates are they really? You know,
Alyssa Milano is a fucking moron.
Yeah, largely. So what I've been doing, kind of casually, and there's a couple of really good Twitter accounts out there as well. It used to be tracking Joe Biden. I think he changed the handle. But he basically, this guy created this Twitter account to just tweet out like it's day X of Biden's presidency and here's what he's done today, right?
Yeah, and New York Socialist.
Yeah, is that who it is? Okay, awesome. Yeah. So there we go. So that's a great follow because it's not just like I'm going to look for shitty things Biden's done. It's just I'm going to publish the shitty things Biden's done and try to keep accountability alive, which is what we should all be fucking doing.
And he's gave him credit on a couple of good things he's done.
Yeah, which is all, you know, of course. That's all we're saying.
That's all you can ask for, man.
Yeah, we're just we're just trying to create a culture of accountability for both sides. That's all we want to fucking do, right? And then once the culture is established, then we can build our fucking ideal utopia of like socializing healthcare and ending profit prisons and things like that. But
go
ahead.
Well, I think just like getting the knowledge of what politicians are really doing to people will fix a lot of societal issues just from like what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry. like recourse, I guess.
Yeah. Well, as that and that millennials are going to soon occupy the majority of political seats, I think that will be a very, very big culture shock to a lot of the old worlders that are still hanging in there. Because this, for all the shit that people give millennials, and I'll be honest, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm a millennial, and for all the shit that people gave our generation has dealt with more shit than anybody, except maybe Gen Z is prepared to deal with.
Millennials are generally the most woke people, and I don't mean woke in like the liberal term. Yeah, I mean they realize what the government is doing to us.
So the more genuinely good millennials that take office in the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to see the shift towards reality start to come into play, because those old generations can't fucking hold on forever, right? They can't have their claws in forever. They can't have their hooks in forever. Eventually, new ideas seep to the top. But to get to what we're going to talk about a little bit here is what I've been doing is I've been collecting screenshots and article links and source material on some shitty shit that shitty Joe Biden has been doing since he's in place. And I'm just going to read a few of these real quick. And we're going to talk about, very briefly, just keeping it brief, just some of the things that we're talking about here, right? So let's take a look real quick at before we get into President Joe Biden. Let's take a very quick look at the history, the legacy of Joe Biden. 1991, going on live television and destroying Anita Hill on live television, who again was another credible rape accuser. 1994, helped pioneer the disastrous crime bill that is still fucking locking up people of color today. 1995, wrote the Omnibus Counter-Terrorist Act, later became the what? Anybody know?
Patriot Act?
That's right. That's correct. The Patriot Act, which has routinely violated the Fourth Amendment in ways I cannot even begin to describe in the length of time we have for a podcast. 1990.
It's easier to pass it's easier to pass a bill of
counterterrorism.
Such deplorableness after some terrorists take some towers down, and then we take the name Omnibus off of and put Patriot on it.
Yeah, really.
And freedom fries.
Yeah. 1996. Oh God, I just was talking about that very recently. Some Republican was up in my mentions, and I'm like, this coming from about canceling something, and I was like, this coming from the fucking party that gave us freedom fries, right? So
that's good.
I mean, cause I don't even remember what it was about. I think it might have been that like Lil Nas X twerking on the devil shit. Like we need to block this. Like kids don't need to be seeing this. We need to cancel this. No, that was a fucking liberal saying that to me. I genuinely don't remember what the fucking conservative was like. Oh, you're just going to cancel. No, it was more recent than that. It was something the liberals are canceling everything. And I'm like, all right, Captain Freedom Fries, 1996, Joe Biden voted against gay marriage. Shocking. 1999, helped repeal Glass-Steagall, which is still fucking our economy to this day. 2001, voted for the Patriot Act, which he largely authored. Shocking. 2002, voted in favor of the Iraq War. Shocking. 2005, voted to end bankruptcy protections for students. Shocking. 2018, gave the Liberty Medal to President George W. Bush. Shocking. Now, we're going to take a quick look, and I'm just going to pull these at random because I have like 400 images in this. So I'm just going to grab like 5 or 6, and we're just going to talk briefly about whichever ones I pull out. This is the first one I want to talk about for sure. Guys, I don't know if you know this, all right? But I recently took a course called Liberal Math 101. All right. And I discovered, I was shook because I always thought that like a number meant a number, right? Like if I said 5, that meant 5. I was shooketh when I discovered that 2000 is actually 600 plus 1400. Did you guys know that?
Well, I knew that 2000 was the same as 1400.
Right. I definitely, and see that threw me too, because I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me not only is 2000 not 2000, but 2000 is 1400, and it's also 1400 plus 600. Fucking math, man.
Well, I owed $2,000 left on my car before
Yeah.
I paid it off.
Yeah.
And thank God that this time, they mirrored each other to where I could just write the check for $1,400
Yep.
and
it
get away with that.
it paid it off
Next
completely.
next thing I know, I get the title in the mail and everything's cool.
Yeah. It was fantastic for you, I'm sure. And for those of you who have been living under a rock since COVID hit, what we're obviously talking about is the stimulus bills. Joe Biden and everybody who campaigned with Joe Biden and everybody who coattail rode on Joe Biden promised in wording directly, literally $2,000 stimulus checks, right?
Yep.
Out the door immediately.
And what did we get?
$1,400 a month later.
$1,400 a few months later.
That's right. And they had the fucking audacity to send in the mail a letter that said that $1,400 combined with the $600 you received from fucking Trump fulfills the $2,000 promise that I made to you. Listen,
shit libs online will tell you that
they
Trump
were grateful.
Didn't give you that 600.
Yeah, that Joe Biden gave it to you.
They're literally telling us they work together.
Not only that, you would have to be either the dumbest motherfucker, the most ignorant motherfucker, or the most willingly dumb and ignorant motherfucker to believe any of that. There was never going to be $2,000 for anybody. Never. That was never the plan. The plan was always to give you fucking less than you were worth. The plan was always to give you fucking less. And in some cases, this is the fucking audacious part that drives me up a fucking wall. In some cases, people have to pay those stimulus checks back through taxes.
They technically did the same thing in Canada, but we get $2,000 a month.
Yeah. And
you're having to pay it back right now at the pump or at the grocery store.
But on top of that, you still have to pay back the physical amount in some cases on your tax returns.
Shut up.
That's fucking insane. Yes. And it's not universal. It's not like it's not going to affect everybody. But yes, there are people out there who will have to pay that stimulus back. And they've come out and done the PR campaign. No, that's not true. There will be no Americans. There are already people who have paid their stimulus checks back through their taxes. It has already been the case for some people.
That's how fires get started.
You're fucking right. That's how fires get started. Or we should say that's how fires should get started. But what will really happen is we'll all just fucking have to go vote again in 2024.
That's why I keep saying, I was like, I think we're in for a big switch soon. Like, I think a lot of people are starting to get so well aware, and even stuff like Twitter, you can talk to people all over the world and instantly change languages and have conversations, right?
Yes.
So
but here's the thing. If we wake up more people to it, they'll just make it that much harder for those.
Yeah, they'll find something else to fucking screwball somebody.
To vote. And I mean, that's Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, they're both on board for voter suppression.
The way that it's worded, man, the way that it was worded in the beginning, you're not supposed to be able to vote.
And see, this is the fucking thing, right, about the Constitution that I fucking love, is that on one hand, it's never supposed to be changed, and somehow we have 25 or 26 fucking amendments on it. And on the other hand, I loved growing up fucking high school, and every one of my fucking history teachers telling us, see, the brilliance of the founding father was that they worded it to be interpreted. Hey, fuck you. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life, because what that means is that I'm going to have an interpretation on what privacy is, and fucking Joe Bag of Donuts, hyper conservative fascist guy is going to have a fucking opinion on what privacy means, and he gets elected and I don't. The Fourth Amendment means something totally fucking different than it should mean. If you lay out the language in such a way that it does not leave room for interpretation, you create effective law.
Yeah.
Like fucking balls to the wall, effective law. If you put out there,
Crosby got out.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you say Cosby or Crosby? Because I'm not aware of Sidney Crosby going to jail for anything.
He's getting out of Pittsburgh, dude.
I
Can't
think,
stand
yeah.
it.
Hey, fuck you. Don't even tease me. Don't even start with me on that shit. All right. If there's one thing I take more fucking seriously than this politics shit, it's the fucking Penguins. Don't even fucking start. No,
but seriously, listen, real quick. This is anytime somebody brings up the Constitution to me, man, and well, that's not how the framers intended. Anytime somebody says that, man, it is the perfect softball pitch for me. Because I say, you know what the framers intended? The framers intended for there never to be a time where we don't own other human beings like livestock.
Correct. That's correct.
Or they never wanted your mom or sister to be able to vote. They wanted them to stay in the kitchen and never speak up about anything. They didn't want them to work.
Yep.
They didn't want them to do anything except the laundry and cook their meals.
And your buddy over there with the black wife or the white wife, if and their child's mixed, they wanted that child to be born a crime. Like they wanted that child to be a crime,
and put the black person in the equation to death.
Yes, quite literally, because that black person defiled and stole the purity from a white person.
Yeah, so let's bring up the framers and how great of people they were and how smart.
And I love this hyper liberal defense of like we're going to apply modern sensibilities to old times. Yeah, I fucking am going to apply modern sensibilities. You know why? Because it should have been obvious to anybody the moment that life was introduced to the planet that owning other life as property fucking sucks for everybody involved. It shouldn't have taken this fucking long for it. That's the real thing. You think it's embarrassing to apply modern sensibilities to that? It's a fucking embarrassment that not having slaves is a modern fucking sensibility. That's fucking embarrassing.
Ben Franklin's Twitter account would have been amazing.
Oh, I know. I mean, it would have been a whole bunch of brothel selfies, but it would have also been very fun. Yeah.
I mean, that would have been his Instagram. But,
yeah. Well,
but
or
Ben
Snapchat.
Ben Franklin and John Adams are the only cats back then to be like, yo, hey, you guys ever want to consider maybe we don't own other people?
Mm-hmm. I think Thomas Paine was an anti-slaver too.
Fucking crazy. Who?
Thomas Paine.
Even the Civil War, Abe Lincoln wasn't worried about freeing slaves.
No, that was a byproduct.
That's true.
Yeah, he specifically said that freeing the slaves.
Yeti, you cut out there.
Slaves was not my priority.
Yeah, he that was a complete byproduct of the time.
Yeah.
And that's
he sure as shit didn't want him to vote.
No, fuck no. Or else they would have given that right to him right away.
He needed them in uniforms to fight the Confederate soldiers.
And you know what the best part of it too is that who do you think got reparation for slavery?
Oh, the white people.
It was the slave owners.
The slave owners. Yeah.
The slave owners got government reparation for lost profits due to losing their slaves. It's fucking amazing. We will bend over backwards to give rich white people of any era anything. And you want to yell to me about modern sensibilities? The fucking only modern sensibility that has permeated throughout the history of the United States is that white people are on top and always will be on top. So fuck you and all of your fucking backpedaling to defend slave owners. I don't give a fuck what anybody who's ever owned another person as property thinks about any fucking thing. Period. End of story.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep. Instead of revising that old piece of shit.
Yeah.
They need to just scrap it and start anew.
Well, let's wait until we're the fucking ones in office to do it, because if they did that right now, it would be fucking terrible.
Oh god.
It would be fucking terrible if they did it today. We would all be
brought
going
to you by Raytheon.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually amazing. And we would all be in fucking church in chains, because those of us who don't believe would be a crime. But I digress. Oh, and the other thing I do love too is, well, if you've been born in that time, you would have been a slave owner too. Well, guess what? I wasn't fucking born in that time. So your fucking straw man bad faith argument dies before it's even out of your mouth, bro.
Like every poor white man owned a slave.
Yeah.
Yeah. right? You don't think there were people in that time who weren't fucking radically like, hey, this is stupid. These are people. Knock this shit off. You really think that every single person of that era was like, yeah, slavery. Fuck yeah, plow my fields.
Have you ever seen a show called Turn?
No.
Okay, it's about George Washington's spies.
Okay.
And it was on AMC. So the quality production is pretty good. The guys that brought you Breaking Bad and all that. But like you learn so much shit about that time that that you didn't know, and that isn't taught in history books. Because do you know how the whole free slave thing came about?
Tell me.
The English outlawed it in the colonies that they controlled back during the Revolution. They outlawed owning black people in New Jersey or New York or whatever, and then it just kind of, after those people got their freedom, it just kind of carried over.
Right.
And the ones that didn't agree to it, like whenever, okay, so like if Washington would have lost that war, then Virginia and all the other slave states would have had to give up slavery too.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like everybody's like, yeah, George Washington, man, he's a true American, he's general. And then it's like,
literally just fought to keep slavery.
He was fighting to keep slavery.
Yeah. And, to kind of jump ahead a little bit in the timeline, I also love, you will hear this, which is ridiculous, from both conservatives, especially, but also liberals. I'm so sick of hearing that the Civil War was fought over the rights of slaves or slavery. It was fought over financial decline and economics and the bases of systemic government. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you a very important question. What was the fundamental principle of Civil War era economics? AKA, what was the driving force behind making money in the era of the Civil War?
Production.
Slavery.
Oh, shit. It was production. And who was doing the producing?
The South.
And what did the South have?
The slaves.
Oh, fuck. Here we are again.
Ding, ding,
I
ding.
don't know how to fucking tell you guys that, like Spittin said, liberty was never part of the fucking plan for anybody but white landowners, white male landowners.
What I'd like
Fucking
to be able to
bottom line.
go back and see is what families got rich from plantations.
All of them. Anybody who you remember, I would almost guarantee had a plantation.
Oh yeah. But
Anybody.
if we ever go back to talking about reparations, that's where the money should come from.
Yeah, it should come from those families.
From the billionaires and just take all their shit.
I would love to execute Jeff Bezos and distribute his wealth as slavery reparations.
Yeah.
I just hope when he goes up in space, he takes one of those SpaceX rockets instead.
I hope that him and
Because
Musk go up together.
I hear they're a real blast upon reentry.
I hope that I hope that those two go up to space. Musk and Bezos go up at the same time, and their rockets collide, and we have a Challenger situation on our hands. That would be fantastic.
I'll just find out how to link in and then just make sure the coordinates work.
Right.
I'll become a master coder.
Now you just watch this part of the podcast. They'll get our shit taken off YouTube. So a couple more things on Joe Biden, and then we'll wrap it up for the day, because I have a feeling if we don't, we'll go for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I'm glad we got chemistry to be able to do that.
That's very true. You never want to have like a fucking dead air conversation where nobody has anything to say. So, any of you guys need epinephrine or insulin or low income medicine, stuff that you need to survive.
Like meds I need to survive?
Well, just in general, I'm talking life-saving medication is the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I take a lot of that.
I quit taking mine.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's fair. And even if you don't, somebody that does, right?
Oh, yeah.
So why has the Biden administration not only continued the Trump and previous administration era policies of making drugs crazy fucking expensive, but also ended the oversight to try to stop that and opened the pathway for them to become more expensive, on top of all refusing to publicize the patent for the vaccine until the fucking pressure was too much to take, and even then not wanting to send vaccines to other countries for the fucking COVID thing, the COVID thing that's devastating the fucking planet.
I don't know. Could it have something to do with maybe big pharma donates
America
the
will be
power
helped.
and
It's beneficial
and
to
not
them.
political parties?
How many billionaire donors did you say Biden had again?
He had 141.
How many of them were hospital execs or medical execs or Goldman Sachs execs? Probably a lot of them.
Oh,
I don't need a specific number, but
they're probably
hey, look,
almost all.
I post this one thing all the time that shows all these screenshots together, and
yeah,
it's a timeline. It's a timeline that goes. Joe Biden not only has an enthusiasm problem, he has a donor problem.
Yeah.
And then the next screenshot, it says Joe Biden courts Wall Street oligarch Larry Fink, who is the head of BlackRock.
God.
And then the next screenshot I post, it says BlackRock receives key roles in Biden administration.
Yep. Why don't you send that to me through the group message, and I'll put it on the screen when this part of the show comes up.
All right.
So, I don't know. It sounds to me like Joe Biden doesn't give a fuck if you're healthy or not. It sounds to me like Joe Biden gives a fuck whether or not your health profits him and his cohorts. That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh, undoubtedly.
I mean, why else would health insurance be fucking unaffordable? Why else would medicine be unaffordable with or without health insurance? Here's a little quiet story. My grandfather is going to have his second knee replacement in a few weeks. Okay. They are expecting to do the surgery and have him out of the hospital the same day. Do you know why? The insurance will not cover anything beyond 1 day of hospital stay. He's going to have to figure out how to walk again on his own with no physical therapy at the age of almost 80 years old. He's overweight, and I don't say that to slander him, but a knee replacement when you already have one fake knee and then having to learn how to walk again completely, he's fucked. Like, I don't have the heart to tell my grandmother he's fucked because she's not going to be able to carry him around. I don't live there anymore. I can't carry him around. I can't come over and move him all over the place whenever he's got to do anything. He's fucked. This is a textbook example of exactly when the insurance company should be stepping up and covering somebody.
They might cover home care, though.
No, they won't.
Because it's cheap.
No,
really?
They won't. They will not.
Oh, fuck them then.
Bro, this is America. We don't cover anything.
Yeah,
right?
I've noticed.
Even if you have insurance, you have to pay up to a couple $1,000s before they'll even start covering anything.
Oh, yeah, it's like car insurance. You have to pay a deductible.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fuck sense unless you are an executive of either an insurance company or a health empire and you make profit off of it. Whenever you're fucking... Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. My great aunt called me last week, and she's 90 years old, okay? And she says, I just wanted to call and say goodbye. And I said, what? And she goes, well, I don't know when the Lord is going to take me, but she's like, I've been in the hospital for the last 10 days, and she's got congestive heart failure. And they released her and told her that she didn't need to bother coming back, and that she needed to make peace and tie up any loose ends or whatever, and just and set it like this: just enjoy the rest of the time that you have left. Isn't that great? I mean, that is our, because Medicare, because she's already all tapped out. You know what I mean? They'll only cover up to 80% of 7 consecutive days in the hospital or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're just basically saying there's nothing left we can do for you. You know, just go die. Just go die already.
Yeah, Eddie, I know you up there in Canada, you have it where basically if you need to go to the hospital, you can go to the hospital.
Oh yeah, we just show up.
That's just not a fucking thing here, right?
No, I know it's not. I didn't realize how particular they were.
Oh yeah.
But I did have an idea because I'm on a transplant page, and all the other transplant people are basically Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how lucky
so that's
I
how
got.
I have any idea about the system.
Yeah. And all of this, I need to put this out here too, because I'd be remiss if I didn't, especially after it popped into my head. All of this, even being considered for treatment by doctors, getting the care that you actually need, all of this is still predicated on the principle that you are a white person, because the amount of testimony that is out there from Black Americans that doctors didn't hear them, didn't listen to their symptoms, completely rejected. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just complaining. Go home and take ibuprofen. For somebody whose spleen was rupturing.
That happens to women too, quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yeah. Black women.
My wife's a nurse.
Yeah.
And she'll go to the doctors, and they still act like she's an idiot.
Yeah.
She works in the health field.
Yeah, I mean, people need to realize that not only is our healthcare system fucked for everybody, but it's double fucked if you're a person of color. Because on top of that, they don't fucking trust you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fucked for everybody that isn't in power or doesn't have the money. A lot of people don't know this, but our politicians, at least the U.S. government ones, they get gold-plated Obamacare, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how much that would cost you or me.
I can tell you right now, actually, it's funny enough. I had to sign up for insurance because of my independent contractor status, or else I was going to take a humongous fucking tax hit, right? So there's this app that I use for my taxes that tracks all my shit. And it was like, here, because you go through our brokerage, you're going to get a huge discount on your insurance. And I was like, all right. And they gave me this fucking gold plan, which was originally supposed to be $306. And they're like, because of your situation and that you're not claiming anybody, it's just you, that you're a contractor, that you're relatively healthy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can get this plan for $139 a month. And I was like, that's honestly not fucking horrible. I'll sign up for it. After I signed up for it, they come out and they go, well, the brokerage doesn't cover you because of this particular situation, so it's $300. After I'd signed the fucking contract. And I know everybody's going to be like, that's not legal. That's like changing a contract after it's signed. In the health industry, that is legal. Mm-hmm. So now, for the next 6 months, I'm on the hook for $300 a month for health insurance.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, right?
Well, see, back in 2013 or whatever, when I was quoted, because I was like, how can I keep my tax return? How much is this insurance? Well, it was at the time, if I wanted it for myself, it was going to be $170 a month.
Yeah.
For the bronze level Obamacare. Okay. And the politicians, they get the gold-plated healthcare, which includes massage therapy.
Yeah.
And in-home psychiatric help, and all this stuff. They pay $171 a month that's before they get paid.
Yeah. In
the form of a pre-payroll tax credit. So they never miss it. And their $175,000 base salary is just that. It's not, it's included. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. It's
so they get it for free. They
Yeah.
get it for free and they get it for life.
Yes. It's fucking
So-
wild. It's like, it's what we're talking about, man. The whole point of this show is difficult realities. That's the name of the podcast. That's the discussion topic. That's what we're here to talk about. And I mean, I don't know how many we've laid out here today, but difficult realities about slavery and healthcare and the way government treats people and the way government treats soldiers in the case of your Tuskegee buddy, to go full circle, right? And then you got Yeti up here who's like, I knew it was bad. I had no fucking idea how bad it was. And I mean, that's like, we unveiled difficult realities to one of our co-members of this fucking show today. Like, that's America right now.
Does your Obamacare cover like meds?
Sometimes.
I mean,
that's the best way I can say
maybe.
it, because like some healthcare plans, like, yeah, you'll only pay like $5 or $6 for it. Right. And then on the other plans, it's like, no, you're on the hook for that. And then even if you pay your fucking $8,000 deductible, you still are on the hook for that.
Yeah, like my pill, like I have to buy separate insurance for pills.
Yeah.
But well, I did. I bought my wife's now because she works for the government. But yeah, I had to buy like pill coverage, but it only cost me like $60 a month.
Yeah. And I mean,
I like AMA.
If
Right,
health
so-
insurance cost as much as dental insurance does, where like a lot of dental plans are only like $6 or $7 a month, it's not bad. And those are like the low end ones. If health insurance costs that much, nobody would fucking complain. Like nobody would be angry, because anybody who could, who could fucking go to McDonald's could afford fucking healthcare at that point. That would be true, genuine access to people, but that wouldn't be fucking profitable for anybody.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. We're not going to do something in this country if it's not profitable. And I hate to tell you, that should be the fucking catchphrase of this show, because that is, bottom line, the most difficult reality. There will never be anything done for you unless it is profitable for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
We will never do anything in the United States that isn't profitable for certain people. Bottom line.
It's like,
Well,
it's like
maybe
I
it's
said
time.
that.
Go ahead, Yeti.
Go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead. Actually, I forgot. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I sent out that tweet the other day, and it actually got some pretty good traction. That said, I got a crazy idea. How about we stop bombing other people's countries and take that money and spend it fixing ours?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a fucking Trump
you should
mindset.
You should see all of the replies of people just being like, that is a pretty good idea. I never thought. And it's like, what?
How have you never thought of that?
Thought of it. Like they don't realize that they think that military budget is something that has to be.
Right.
That we have to pay that much.
Mm-hmm.
And that like we might as well use those bombs because they're already
made, yeah, diminishing returns and whatnot. But you know what the funniest thing about that, and this is something I actually flipped a Republican with this exact argument, and I said, so do you think it's necessary that our military budget is higher than the next 26 countries combined? He's like, yeah, of course it is. We're America. We're the world police and all this other stuff, and I was like, right. Do you ever find it curious that all 26 of those other countries are still around? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, they obviously don't have a higher military budget than we do. Sweden definitely doesn't. Finland doesn't. Germany doesn't. Australia doesn't. Canada doesn't. Nobody. China doesn't even have a military budget like ours. And they're all still here. So what exactly?
Every one of those countries you just named.
Yeah.
They're not at war.
No, constantly. They're not constantly at war. They're not constantly fucking stealing money from their own people. Some of them are better,
And guess what?
But
and all those other countries you named, nobody is attacking them on their soil either.
No. Australia, nobody fucking attacks. Who the fuck would do that? Who wants to bomb the fucking kangaroos? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody cares about Australia. And I mean that in the best way possible, right? Like Denmark. Nobody fucking wants to attack Denmark. Why would you want to do that? What has fucking Denmark ever done to anybody, right? Nothing.
Well, we act like if we decrease our military budget 90%, that like all of a sudden, well, we're the number one power. Everybody will want
Yeah.
to attack us. And I'm
And-
like, no, they won't, because we'll still have nukes,
Mhm.
and we're the only people crazy enough that's ever used them on other human beings.
And I don't know if this math is still true, but we're talking about like even a 1% deduction from the military budget and reallocation of 1% of the military budget would still keep us the top military budget in the world, and it could pay for healthcare and education for the entire country for a couple of years. And that's 1% reduction in military budget. And there's all these like fake liberals and all these conservatives out there like, well, the thing you don't understand is that it would cost this and this and that, and then soldiers would take a hit. I'm like, soldiers would take a hit. That's the same fucking argument as like, if we increase minimum wage, then everything will become automated. What's everything already doing?
Yeah.
It's already becoming automated, because the reason we have a minimum wage is because employers don't want to pay you anything. They don't want to fucking pay you. We have to legally demand payment because once upon a time, people were property in this country. And that mindset has never left. You want to talk about soldiers taking a hit? They already have no fucking health insurance. Nobody helps with PTSD. So many of them are fucking homeless. These are the people that the government said, you're going to go get our fucking resources for us. And they're homeless. They're fucking wounded. They're destroyed. And they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They don't have resources. They don't have access. They don't have like fucking healthcare. They don't have job placement. They don't have careers. They don't have, and their benefit is like, oh, you get a cheaper mortgage. A cheaper mortgage? Give them a fucking house forever. You pay for that shit.
What about this crazy idea? You could still call them the Army if you want, but it could be a federal jobs program.
Yeah.
That you take that money, you pay them to work, and now instead of training them to kill people, you train them to build bridges and fix roads.
Infrastructure. Yeah.
I think what they need to do,
A revolution of the National Guard. Go on, Yeti.
I think what they need to do is change. Maybe we need to work on showing people what capitalism really means versus what people think it means.
Oh, it means money over everything. It's the rap game, right? It's money over everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but a lot of people have this idea that there's been advancements because of capitalism when it's the exact opposite.
Yeah,
They
and
hinder advancements. Right?
that's what I'm talking about. Nothing good will ever happen in this country unless it's profitable for somebody else. And that's what I'm saying. If the fucking military, if these soldiers,
is tell people healthcare is profitable to them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe spin the terminology a bit.
If you are a soldier and you go to war and you come home and you don't have health care, you don't have a job, you can't get placed, you can't get education or any of this other shit. That military budget, what the fuck is it paying for?
40 bombs a day.
40 bombs a day.
I think they're like 40,000 a bomb.
Yeah.
It's how they get you to re-enlist.
It sure is.
Over and over again.
Okay.
You sign up for a
yeah.
4-year commitment, and then when that 4 years comes up, it's like, hey, what are you going to do with yourself? All
I
you
guess
know
I'm
how
coming
to do
back.
is kill people.
Yeah. I guess I'm coming back.
Yep.
And that is the uncomfortable reality of the military. So, I think we've covered a shit ton of stuff here. And like I said, I think if we go and go and go and go, we'll just never fucking stop. So I think this is a good jump off point for the debut episode. We went longer than I thought we were going to go, which is fine by me. It just means more editing on my behalf. So with that being said, I want to thank the two of you for joining, as always. And I want to give you guys a chance to get out your last couple of thoughts here, anything you want to finish up with. So Spittin', we started with you at the top. So Yeti, we're going to start with you now. Do you have anything you want to go out with?
I think my final message for this is I think we just need to work on the betterment of humans versus capitalists.
Well, yeah, I mean, people over money should be a fucking straightforward idea, but it's not.
No, and that goes back to like propaganda and mind washing and all that.
Yes. All right, so what about you, Spittin'? What do you got?
Another stuff. I'll save that for another episode.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that, electoral politics was a nice idea a couple hundred years ago. Give people an option, but back then they had several parties, and you could just make your own party one day if you wanted. You had the Federalists, you had the Democrat, Republican, you had the Whigs, you had the No Name Party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
a party with three people in it.
The Socialists. They had all these parties and all these options, and now that option is an illusion. And the left and the right, they keep us, the media and the politicians, they keep us divided on purpose. It's not a left-right thing anymore. It's a top-bottom thing. And the sooner people realize that, I don't care if somebody is far right or I'm far left or whatever. If we have one basic idea, and that's to join forces, because numbers mean everything in this game.
Yes.
And there's 90% of us, man. Everybody says the top 1%, but we can talk about the top 10%. Those are the ones that are standing in the way of progress. And there is no left right anymore. It's 90% versus 10%. Mm-hmm. And the sooner people can realize that and work together and take out this monster, then we can all decide together where we want to live, who we want to hate, what kind of things we don't agree on. But let's all realize that we do agree on one thing, that we're fucking broke and we're fucking pissed off.
Yeah, we are definitely broke and we are definitely pissed off. No
I'd give you a standing
about
ovation if I was there.
I think one of these days yet, Spittin' and I are going to have a competition to see who can get the most standing ovations with a fucking tangent. Once upon a time, there's no chance that anybody who ever hears this is going to remember this, but once upon a time I was a member and a founder of a YouTube live show called The Mind of an Atheist, which was basically like a 2-hour like atheist talk show for all intents and purposes, right? And there was a segment that would always fucking happen where I had to go give some fucking tangent about, this week in Christianity or whatever the fuck. And at the end of every fucking time, everybody was always, they said the same thing Yeti did. I'll give you a standing ovation if I was there. And I was like, I'm not doing it for like your, like, this sounds shitty, but like, I'm not doing it for your like applause or anything. I'm doing it because the shit I'm saying, I feel like it needs to be heard. And I don't even care if it's me saying important. It. Yeah, I don't care if it's me saying it or if it's Yeti saying it or if it's Spittin' saying it or if it's somebody in our fucking comment section saying it. Like if there's something that needs to be said, it needs to be fucking said. Bottom line, period. So I think that idea exists in all three of us, and so I think there's going to be a bit of a tangential discussion, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and my standing ovation was to both of you as well.
Yes.
Like it was a general. I'm not leaving people out here.
No, don't clap for me. He will never.
One of those weird humanity people. It's like, oh no, I gotta make everyone happy.
No. The fucking Leafs fan will never clap for the Penguins fan. It just will never happen. It will never happen.
I want to say I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man.
And I would have never been able to put this together myself. Because I'm just, like I said, I tried turning a computer on today and I almost burnt my house down. So I appreciate it. And,
yeah, man.
I'm glad I finally got to talk to you guys in person. And you're just as good of people as I've come to know on Twitter.
Thank you very much. I'm a bit of a fucking goof on Twitter, much more so than I am when I talk about this stuff. But I definitely don't have any objection introducing comedy to this. Obviously, I think everybody needs that reprieve every once in a while, and it's not good to be super serious all the fucking time either. You know, you gotta kind of loosen up every once in a while. But yeah, man, it's about time I fucking got off my ass off my ass. Yeah, sure. It's about time I got off my ass and started putting the skills, the tech skills I've acquired over the years to use. And I'm still an amateur by anybody's fucking metrics, but I can do pretty well for myself. So, you know, we're gonna come to find out how good my marketing skills are very soon, because that's where, if we really want to get people to listen, that's what we got to fucking push, is we got to get the fucking shit out there. So we're gonna see how well I can do that. Yeah,
and I'm here to take advantage of your skills.
Yeah, definitely. Leech off of me, boys. So with that being said, like a fucking government parasite.
Yep.
Yep. So
I learned from the best.
Oh yeah, I learned from the fucking government. That's how you do it. The government can leech off of us. We can leech off of them once in a while. With that being said, boys, I had a lot of fun today. I didn't expect this to go for almost 2 hours, but it fucking did. So that's awesome. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have branding social media right now, but I guarantee it won't be too long before I do create it, because I have a very bad habit of creating everything for my projects before they even take off the ground. So, yeah, keep your eyes out for that. But in the meantime, you can follow me at Swerve City Elite. You guys can plug your own Twitters as well, so that I don't read them incorrectly. Venoms, what's yours? Spittin' Venoms.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's just at Spittin' Venoms. And you know, no G, just Spittin' Venoms.
And then Yeti
1181.
There you go. So if you guys want to get on board with us for now, that's the way to do it. Otherwise, I'm Swerve. Those two are Yeti and Spittin', and I'm going to call Spittin' like 17 different fucking names. I guarantee it. So you're going to have to learn all of them if you're out there. I'm sorry, everybody. But thank you for tuning in to the pilot of Difficult Realities, a podcast on the state of the United States. If you guys enjoyed this, please share it around with everybody you know who needs to or wants to listen to it. Make sure you follow the social medias. Wherever you're listening to this, make sure you give a follow or a subscribe or whatever's appropriate on that particular platform. We genuinely appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time on Difficult Realities. Again, I'm Swerve. Everybody out there, take it easy, have a good time, and fight the good fight, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.